Hello everyone and welcome back to another video here on Sam's Crafty Castle, and today is the last Valentine's Day card. Now obviously this video is coming out the day after Valentine's Day, but I thought we could sneak in maybe one more because this is a really cute one. So anyway, here's our color palette and our sketch, and I'm just showing you here how I label all of the colors with the Gina K colors in my color catalog file. I actually talked about that a while ago, but I've forgotten that I talked about it, so I showed it again in this video. And this was a color palette that I just looked at it and knew exactly what all the colors would translate into in a Gina K color palette, so I just wrote them all in, and that's that. And obviously they might not be perfect matches per se, but this one felt like I had pretty darn close matches at the very least. But yeah, I encourage you guys to do that with whatever your preferred brand of ink, cardstock, whatever it is. Now, my preferred brand of things is Gina K, so I have I have access to the matching inks and cardstock for the most part. There's a few inks that don't have matching cardstocks, but for the most part, I can just write down the colors and go from there. But other people might have different brands of cardstock and inks. Like if you have Distress inks, if that's your preferred brand of ink, then they don't have matching cardstocks for that. So obviously you can make your own and just ink blend them into your own specific matching cardstock, but you can write down based on whatever brand you have, and it's just gonna make it easier going forward for me to figure out what I'm doing with the color palettes without having to think about it. So that's all. I've been rambling about that for a little bit long. So anyway, today we are going to use the super cute, I think, stamp set from Gina K Designs called Lovebirds. And this is a relatively new illustrator. Dina Gerner is her name for Gina K. And I have really been liking a lot of her stuff. They just had a release this past week, and she came out with this really cute elephant set, and I've just really been enjoying her little animals and critters and stuff. And yeah, so I picked up this Lovebird set because I'm a little bit short on sort of Valentine's-y themed sets. I have a lot of sort of greeting sets for it, but not so many imagey sets. I have a few from Lawn Fawn that I've gotten over the years, but the Lovebirds were just kind of speaking to me, which is saying something because I'm not usually a bird girl, but these birds are really cute. So and they're kind of really fun to color. I like that. You have Lawn Fawn is usually my go-to for cute images, or Pretty Pink Posh, or Mama Elephant. But what I like about Dina's cute little critters is they're a little bit bigger and they're a little bit more fun to color. Okay, so I need to talk about what's going on here because you guys are probably all super confused. So I used the one of the Concord and 9 stitched heart background dies things. I don't remember the exact name of it right now, but it'll be linked down below. But I really like these just plain stitched background dies from Concord and 9th, but I taped it. I didn't give myself a whole lot of extra room on my cardstock to trim it down, so I taped it using Post-it tape to my die, and I kind of will just usually tape it over the side like a book to hold it in place. Well, normally I also will take my Post-it tape and rub it on my pants, or stick it to my pants a couple times just to de-stickify it a little bit and make it easier to come off, because the pressure from the die cut machine will push the tape into it and make it stick really good, even though it's already kind of a low tack adhesive. So usually I'll de-stickify it just a little bit so that it doesn't stick. Well, I forgot to de-stickify it, and it was a brand new piece, so I was oh, oops. When I went to go pull the tape off, it had very much stuck itself to the cardstock and was starting to rip the paper in me trying to get it off. So all I did, because it was stuck to the back, right? It wasn't stuck to the front. So all I did was just trim around the excess tape, and it's fine. If you look really close at the card, really close, you can see on the edges where it was tearing a little bit, but I covered up a good chunk of it, of where it was ripping, and it's totally fine. So sometimes you can save things. And I totally had enough cardstock. I could have done another one, but trying to save it was more fun. So, and then I'm just cutting up some pattern paper here to, be my background, basically, kind of, sort of. My background is really the heart thing, and you're not going to be able to see the heart super well on camera. I think if I remember right, I showed you them up close, but some things just don't show up very well on camera. But I want to talk about something else that I would have done a little bit differently. Not a lot, but differently. But I had this layout, and I thought I wanted something, here we go, I thought I wanted something to sort of break up the patterns a little bit, because it's two separate patterns, but they're very similar patterns. I just didn't have the colors I wanted in the one set of pattern paper. So I went to a different one and just happened to have a pattern that matched almost exactly. It was a very happy coincidence. But I decided I wanted something to break them up a little bit. I didn't because the patterns were so similar and just the colors were different, I wanted them to be separated visually, I guess, a little bit more. I don't know if that's really the right way to explain it, but I ended up going with a 1/4 inch border, and I wish I would have done an 1/8, and I would have done an 1/8 if I hadn't been lazy about getting my dies out, because I have all those lovely rectangle stacky dies, and I never ever use them, and I need to get better about that, because I actually do really like the smaller borders on stuff like that, and I was just didn't want to get up and get them. But I was watching a video, old live, and by old I mean a week ago, or I guess 2 weeks ago from when you're watching this, but I was watching it last weekend, and it was an old live from Jennifer from earlier in the week, and or maybe it was Kathy Zilski's live, I don't remember now. I pretty much binge watch everyone's lives over the weekend, so I don't always have time to watch them during the week, and then I binge them over the weekend, so sometimes I forget whose is whose, but I don't remember if it was Kathy Zilski or Jennifer, or maybe it was even both of them, but both of them had said that they keep a thing for their most used dies next to them on their table, and I'm debating if I need to do that with some of my mostly my rectangle dies, so I think sometimes I just don't use them because I just don't want to get up and get them, and sometimes they just don't have the size I'm looking for in them, because they're very much the A2 sizes, and something like this, I don't think having the rectangle dies would have helped me, because they're not really A2 sized, but I think I need to do that. I think I need to come up with a way to get some of my dies closer to me. The other thing, speaking of dies, even though I should be talking about coloring right now, I do need to really talk about coloring. We'll come back to that in a minute. But this is in my brain. My die storage is discontinued, and I'm really sad about it. Crafter's Companion stopped making the binders that I use, so I'm having to refigure out the whole thing anyway, so maybe in my trying to figure everything out, I will have to move some stuff closer to me, which may actually make that work longer. It's a whole thing. You guys know, you find a storage situation that works for you, and then when all of a sudden you have to change it, sometimes it's just really crazy, and that's where I'm at, because I'm trying to figure out where I go from here. But anyway, now I need to talk about color. So, I'm coloring up my little birdie here. I went with this kind of teal blue situation. This is, guys, I'm going to be honest with you here, not my best coloring work, okay? My colors didn't want to blend out very well at all. I think I went too dark with my darkest color, and it just didn't want to blend. So there's some really dark shadows in some spots, but it's okay. It works out. It's fine. But when it comes to Copic marker coloring specifically, I always recommend that you stamp your stuff and let it dry overnight before you color it. I have been awful about that lately. I just get in the mood to craft, and I want to finish a card start to finish, and I've been bad about looking ahead to make sure I'm pre-stamping my images. So I stamped this at the beginning of the video and then went to color it right away, and the ink smeared, because that's what happens. You can heat set it. Heat setting it will help the tiniest little bit. I always find letting it dry at least overnight is a much better option. I get a lot less smearing that way. But I didn't. So my lines got a little fuzzy. And so what I just did is I just took a black colored pencil, which my colored pencils are also a mess right now. I just like need to clean my craft room like real good or something. Someday it'll happen, right? But I just took a black colored pencil and like went over the lines that kind of lost the definition. The other part of it is I did choose a really dark color combination for this, and dark color combinations are notoriously difficult to kind of blend. So it takes a lot more ink from your marker to blend it, and the more ink you lay down, the more likely it is that the ink you stamped with is going to smear. I used the Genie K Design Black Onyx because that dries just slightly faster than the Obsidian, and I knew I didn't plan ahead on this one, so I knew I was going to have some smearing issues, but I was hoping that with the feathering probably is more, it doesn't really smear, it doesn't like make a line, like if you touch it with your finger it's not going to move the ink, but it just like the alcohol in the Copic markers kind of reacts to it and makes it bloom or feather a little bit. That's probably the more accurate term for it. And again, because I picked such dark colors, I needed to use more Copic marker to blend out the Copic marker blend, which then makes the ink that you stamp with more likely to bloom, feather, whatever word you want to use for it. So that was just, kind of bad practice all around on my part. I have to start getting better and making sure, like, when I finish filming a video, I look ahead and see if I need to stamp something and get it ready to color before I start filming the next one, but I've been kind of bad about that lately. So now we're just going to cut out my little birdie. If you color with colored pencils, though, you don't really have to worry about it. You have to worry about it a little bit with watercolor. Depending on what ink you use for watercolor. You can also always get around it by embossing. I have heard mixed things on coloring with Copics and embossing powders. I've heard that sometimes they can ruin the nibs of your markers and stuff. Same thing with colored pencils. I've heard both okay and not okay. So, your mileage may vary on that one, but if you're doing watercoloring, another option is always to heat emboss it, then you're good. But I generally don't have as much issue with that as I do with my Copic markers if I don't let my stamped images dry long enough. So, and colored pencils don't care. Maybe if you use Gamsol, I'm not a big Gamsol girly, so like, I can't say for sure on that one. I just know I usually just blend with my pencils. I don't use my Gamsol to do them, so. Which, to be fair, Gamsol is a lot faster than what I do, but still, I don't usually do that. So, I'm not the person to ask that question to, but if you're just using colored pencils it's kind of the colored pencil trade-off, I think. Colored pencils take longer to blend, and they take longer to actually color, but you don't necessarily have to wait for the dry time that you should. With markers or watercolor. So like, when it comes to coloring, you take your picks of what matters to you. So now we're just putting everything together. My little birdie is done, and that shadow right by the bow is bothering me so bad, but I just like, your paper's only gonna, I waited too long to color it, I think, so it didn't blend as well. It was too dark, so it didn't blend as well. There was a lot of little things I could have done to like fix that. But it's still not awful. The bow would cast a shadow on her head, so maybe it's fine. And I'm probably overthinking it. Sometimes that happens. And then at the last minute, I thought I was done here, but then at the last minute, I remembered I had these gems that I got from Crop and Create in the fall, which were only like a month-ish away. Well, not quite. But a month-ish away from March Crop and Create, and I'm getting so excited. My box should be coming soon. I'm really excited. But the colors from this were perfect for this card, for these gems. So I just used those to add a little something something. I don't know if I love the placement of them, but I do like that they add a little extra, because the card was cute, but it was a little bit missing something. But anyway, that's it. This is the last Valentine's Day card of the year. So, next week we have a challenge video. I don't know what it's going to be yet because I haven't filmed it yet. So, anyway, look forward to that. And that's it. So, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below. And I'll see you again soon. And have a crafty day.